tomorrow I have proclaimed a day of service and remembrance. It's Patriot Day in America. Anyone who was alive in 2001 on September 11th knows that that was a date we'll never forget. It's important we always remember. There were many service members who were alive on that day who gave their lives since then. From our state, about 306 service members from all branches of the service have gone forward and lost their lives in defending our democracy, and that's whose portraits are depicted in Portrait of a Soldier. This particular exhibit is designed to remember and to encourage all of us to reflect. It was done by a young man who was on my staff when I was lieutenant governor, and he's now on my staff as governor. His name is Cameron Schilling. He's from Mattoon, Illinois, and Charles Neely from his town was killed in Iraq. And Cameron, who had a divine gift of being able to draw portraits, drew a portrait of Charles Neely and brought it to his mom and dad. And they were so moved by this voluntary gift that Cameron came to me when I was lieutenant governor and asked that he be put in touch with other military families, Gold Star families that had lost a son or daughter. And he did that indeed. We put him in contact with all the families, and he continued to draw these portraits over many years, almost a decade. And one of the family members is here today. I want to personally salute him. Very great man when it comes to helping Gold Star families, and that's Jim Frazier, who's with us here today. He's a Gold Star father, and his son, Staff Sergeant Jacob Frazier, who was in our Illinois National Guard. Our Air National Guard was killed in action on March 29th of 2003 in Afghanistan, and Jake is always in our hearts. And I think it's important that we remember with Portrait of a Soldier that this is a way that we can look into the eyes in particular of each and every one of the service members who are depicted and see their soul and see how important they are to all of us and always will be. It's important to understand that every single service member is a volunteer. They volunteered for service, and some right in the aftermath of 9/11 of 2001. They went and volunteered for the Marines, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, because they understood that volunteering is part of our democracy. And they lost their lives in Afghanistan and Iraq. These are our sons and daughters of Illinois, and we are very, very proud of them and their families that gave each and every one of these service members their values. When I was growing up, Jacqueline Kennedy, the widow of the late President Kennedy, said, "If you bungle raising your children, nothing else in life matters." And I want to say to the Gold Star parents who come oftentimes to our gatherings of Portrait of a Soldier and see their sons and daughters depicted in those portraits, I want to say to those families and those parents that you did the hardest thing in life, raising children, in an exemplary way. You gave your sons and daughters their values. And when you read about the lives and learn about the lives of these heroic Illinois citizens, you know how special they are. They went above and beyond the call of duty to help us all, because anyone who was there on 9/11, who was alive on that day, knew it was a difficult time in American history. We had to have heroes come forward to defend our democracy, to protect us from terrorism. And I think it's important to realize that sometimes the word hero is bandied about carelessly in our society. Someone who hits a home run in the bottom of the ninth is the next day's hero, or some outrageous celebrity or rock star is called a role model. The real role models and the heroes are depicted in Portrait of a Soldier. They are the ones who have the fundamental values, the enduring values of patriotism and loyalty and devotion and willingness to serve.
There really is no more fitting time to do that than here as we approach tomorrow, the 12th anniversary of 9/11. That was, as we all know, a very defining day for our country, but perhaps most defining for any of us who were serving in uniform at the time or who have served since then. It's an entire generation of veterans that is now formally known by the VA and elsewhere as the post-9/11 generation of veterans. And it's also a generation of veterans that has borne the brunt of the conflicts that have lasted since then. And it's a generation that has primarily undertaking its transition to civilian life on our campuses at places like this here at Columbia. And so I think it's also quite fitting where we are today, and appreciate you hosting us and helping us to connect with veterans where they are. I'm so impressed by how many student veterans are here behind us and who have joined this effort. And there's clearly a real community here with your student veterans. That's very encouraging to me to see. It's rare sometimes on our campuses, and this is where we need to make the big difference. And so I'd like to thank all of you for your service and for joining us as we honor and remember today those who you served with who didn't make it back. As Governor Quinn mentioned, there were 306 so far. Illinois soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who have fallen since 9/11, including 2 in the Pentagon attacks themselves. And what Portraits of a Soldier helps us to do is remember that these 306, they're not a number. They're not even names or even the faces that you see. These are individual men and women with entire families and lives and stories behind them. And it's my deep hope that any of us who take the time to soak in the eyes, as the governor said, of these fallen, that we would walk away with a deepened sense of gratitude and understanding of what has been given by those who have served in uniform, as well as a deepened sense of our obligations to each other and to our country. And I'd also like to thank the Gold Star families. Governor Quinn mentioned those who are here today. They always join us at events like this, and that can't be easy. And yet they come and they share the stories of their loved ones with us. And I would encourage anyone here to connect in any way you can with the stories of those who have fallen. Because in the end, it's the stories that we remember, it's the stories that we hold on to and that help every single one of us understand the depth of what's been given. So please do connect and learn those stories. Again, thanks for making the time to be here today.